Is there any special meaning behind the "Watch where the birds fly" melody that shows up in a few other places? This is a great question. Now, before we begin, I want to make it very clear that when I started writing Epic, I did not know every single musical motif I was going to employ right off the bat, every single detail. I didn't know all of this right from the beginning. It took a lot of experimenting and trial and error and figuring out how I want to connect these characters through music and motifs and instruments and yada, 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 all that. So please keep this in mind. I did not just wake up one day and think, yeah, I'm going to write Epic the Musical and this character is going to be this instrument and this character is going to be connected by this motif. I didn't just know that right off the bat. It took a bit of trying stuff out and then figuring it all out and then weaving it together over time. The reason I bring this up is because I'm about to introduce you to some cool stuff, but I worry that I sound a little insane. And I am insane, but I worry that I sound like it. I'd like to introduce you to the concept of genetic motifs. A genetic motif, as the name implies, is a motif that is passed down genetically. So we'll see it amongst family members. In this case, it's most common in Odysseus' family. For example, if you recall in the Underworld saga, Odysseus' mom's melodic motif is the major version of Odysseus' motif, or should I say Odysseus' melodic motif is the minor version of Odysseus' mom's motif. During the waiting section, we can hear do 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 do. But remember, Odysseus' motif is do 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 do. It's the minor version. And so similar to the way that Telemachus' backing instruments are an acoustic guitar from his father and some string ensemble from his mother, because remember Odysseus' guitar and Penelope is viola and string ensemble, I also liked the idea of passing on and passing down specific melodic motifs. So in an overarching perspective, that melody that we first hear in Full Speed Ahead that goes, "Watch where the birds fly, they will lead us to land, they will hunt for food, my second in command." That's also the same melody for Polites, gear up, you and I'll go ahead. We should try to find the way no one ends up dead. That melody is specific to Odysseus as well. And I wanted that melody to be passed down genetically to Telemachus. So there's cool little things that we do here and there to like kind of add some extra signaling of like, oh yeah, this character Telemachus, who we're being introduced to for the first time, visually at least, in Legendary is the son of Odysseus. And aside from him talking about like, you being Odysseus, I don't know, all these stories and a clue who you are, right? We're also getting these little musical hints that he's also Odysseus' son. And these are just extra, like, world building and lore building stuff that I like to add in there. Because I think it's really cool. I like the idea of, like, oh my gosh, wait, so you can find certain melodies through these familial bonds. At the beginning of Puppeteer, that melody comes back as Odysseus is thinking about all of his past actions. And fun fact, the melody that plays at the beginning of Puppeteer is actually a mixture of the vocal lines from Watch Where the Birds Fly, that whole section, and Polites, gear up, that whole section, because they have slightly different rhythms and slightly different moments where the different notes come in. So it's supposed to be like a mixture of those two. Also, because Full Speed Ahead is the song where we are introduced to Odysseus' 600 men, I associate that song with Odysseus and his bond with his 600 men, which is why that same melody comes back during the climax of 600 Strike. One strike for each of my fallen comrades. Ah! I was going to end the video there, but then I remembered something that I thought is really important, and it's about the significance of motifs like this. So, for example, genetic motifs, the idea that that characters can have motifs that are passed down to them genetically, can serve in a really, really cool way. Think about stories like the Iliad that have so many different characters and so many different families and so many different heroes and stuff. Having these instruments or motif or melodic pairings allows us to more quickly and easily keep track of all these characters. So I'm just thinking of like, imagine how cool it would be if there's a big reveal that this one character is the son or the father of another character. I don't know, I'm just making stuff up, right? And that the way that we learn that is not because one of them comes in and says, I'm your father, or, oh, you're my father, or something like that. But it's because in this moment of realization, it actually is the melodic motif that comes back. A melody that we heard once and only from this other character and only from this other source. The music literally telling the story with us. Those things are so cool, and I think it's just another layer of storytelling, another tool that we can use, and I get really excited about it, especially as I'm, thinking of future stories. All these ideas are like running through my head, and yeah, okay. I appreciate you guys. Bye-bye!